All right, hey, what's up guys, it's Roy here. So today's video is going to be a comparison video between the S25 Ultra and the S24 Ultra. Now these are both dummy models, but I think that's completely fine for this type of comparison video. These are actually exact specs that case manufacturers use, and I think it's going to be completely fine. So we'll talk about what's different, what's the same, and then of course just kind of give my overall comparison at the end of what I think you should do if you're looking to maybe buy one. And also a big thank you and shout out to this video sponsor, Simply Carbon Fiber, for sponsoring this video. We'll talk more about them in just a bit. But I think what we should start with is size comparison of these two phones, because it's not a small phone. I mean, it is a big boy phone. It's a flagship phone, but it's not small. I usually gravitate towards the smaller, more entry-level phone just simply due to the size, but there is something that I like that they did with the new S25 Ultra versus the S24. But let's talk about size comparison. So throwing it up on the screen, the S24 Ultra was 162.3 by 79 by 8.6. This one is 162.8 by 77.6 and then 8.2 in depth. So if you kind of look at that, then what that means is that they somehow managed to make the S25 Ultra a little thinner and then also making it a little less as wide. So even if you look right there, it does stick out just a tiny bit more on the S24 Ultra, and that's just going to make it a more enjoyable experience using a big phone but not having it feel so wide like a phablet in your hand. It also did trim some weight down, so now instead of it being 233 grams, it's 218 grams. And that might not seem like a big difference, but I can tell you right now, using phones in the past that are heavy phones, every little bit of trim that you can do on that weight is a drastic major difference, especially if you add phone cases, because now you're adding weight back on. So I really like that they did somehow manage to trim the weight down a little bit as well. Now, another thing that they've also managed to do with those trimmings is also somehow managed to make the screen bigger. So the old one was 6.8 inches. The new one is 6.9 inches. So getting a bigger screen but not feeling like a bigger phone is a feather in the cap once again for Samsung, in my opinion. And as far as just kind of looking at it visually, just taking a peek at it, you can just see that the S25 Ultra, in my opinion, just looks a little more refined looking. But I think also what's really important is that the sides are not sharp like the S24 Ultra. So looking at them right here, you can see that the S25 Ultra has more of a rounded, more refined look, in my opinion, whereas opposed to the S24 Ultra, it's just very 90-degree filling, which then makes those corners very, very sharp. So when you're holding the phone in hand, that corner is poking you there, right? Whereas opposed to the S25, it feels a lot better in the hand, just simply due to that fact alone that it's just not digging in your hand and feels much, much more user friendly. But once again, depending on if you use a case, you might not even notice that. But even with cases, you're still going to maybe feel that a little bit, because the cases are also going to mimic that a little bit more versus the very sharp edge like on the S24 Ultra as well. So once again, as far as design goes, the S25 Ultra takes it without a doubt. And before we kind of move on in the video, I want to talk about Simply Carbon Fiber, like I mentioned. So they make some really awesome phone cases for any device that's like a flagship phone, right? So as you can see here, I have my S24 Ultra right here, and this is the forged carbon that does have like this like really nice like blue flakes inside of it. And if you want to buy any of these, you can go to simplycarbonfiber.com/Roy and go and check out their lineup of phone cases. They're going to be making some for the S25. They got some out for like iPhones if you're an iPhone user, but they just make really good looking cases. I mean, if you just see here, it's genuine carbon fiber. And you got great drop protection. I've been using this one as my daily for the S24, and it just feels good. Like the grip on the side is super, super grippy. Just all around just feels great in the hand. No fingerprint issues. Smudging, not so much as well either. But, you know, like I said, if you want to go with the traditional more carbon fiber lace style or the forged carbon style, they got you covered. And then they even also have like some really cool like aramid fiber styling type cases that are just much thinner and just all around just feel really great in the hand. But yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you and shout out to them. So like I said, go to simplycarbonfiber.com/Roy if you want to scoop up any of their phone cases and check out their other accessories. So big thank you and shout out to them. So let's jump right back into the video. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about with these phones are obviously what's staring at you right now, and that's the cameras. So the camera department is very, very similar, but there is one major change between the S24 and S25 Ultra that is very welcomed, and that is a much better resolution when it comes to the ultra wide. So the old version had a 12 megapixel ultra wide. This year's got a 50 megapixel ultra wide. So that's a big bump, and that's going to help with just overall performance of that ultra wide lens, better clarity, just cleaner looking, going to be better with low light performance, all the above, right? So there's no negative when it comes to getting a much higher resolution. Now the wide angle, so the main shooter is still going to be 200 megapixels, and the telephoto lens is still going to be that 50/10 megapixel as well. And now the front cameras are also going to be still 12 megapixels. So as far as all the shooting capabilities for the 4K, 8K, all that, it's all the same. It's just you're getting a better camera for ultra wide, which once again is just a no-brainer. It's a welcomed addition for sure. Okay, so talking about what we can't see inside, right? So first we got 5,000 milliamps on both, which is great. But the new one has the new Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, whereas opposed to the old one had the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy. Now, both of these are going to be great as far as performance goes, but with that new Elite chip, you're just going to get way better performance all around, better benchmark scores, all that. But it's going to also help with AI and efficiency, because Samsung's quoting that this one will get 31 hours of playback for video, whereas opposed to this one, they quoted 30. So that's just all around just a better chip that's going to just make it more efficient, much faster. They both do come with 12 gigs of RAM as well. So you're going to be able to still be able to get some great performance when it comes to multitasking and all that as well. And as far as the screen department goes, I know I talked about the size, but they both have the Quad HD Plus Dynamic AMOLED 2X screens. So they're going to be some of the best screens that you're going to be able to buy. Samsung screens are just the best in my opinion, and there's no skimping on that. And once again, I already mentioned it, but 2600 nits max brightness, and you're also getting that adaptive refresh rate from 1 to 120 hertz as well. So that buttery smoothness, but also can drop down to 1 when it's not necessary to help with prolonged battery life as well. And then one thing that's going to be very similar once again is storage. So they both start at 256 gigs, but you can go up to 512 and up to 1 terabyte as well if you do want to splurge and go crazy like that. But once again, you are still obviously going to be able to utilize that USB-C charging port, which I'll show you real quick here. And see, kind of the look here a little bit is different, but not so much. One, you see the SD card here, but there's no SD card reader on this one. I think it might be on the side, or might not even have one, but maybe not, I don't know. But you can see how the speakers look a little bit different. Got the same hole punch there for the mics, and then we still have S Pens as well. And then might as well just do a comparison of the sides here, and then do another comparison here. Same button placements, all that as well. So yeah, so looks very, very similar, but also the major difference I think too is just obviously the new addition of Qi 2 as far as magnets go on the S25 lineup, where the S24 didn't have that. So now you're able to use MagSafe chargers and all that, and be able to wirelessly charge your phone more efficiently and faster, but take advantage of that nice magnetic connection like iPhones are able to take advantage of. So that's a big time change that is very welcomed, in my opinion, for the S25 Ultra as well. All right, so final thoughts. What is my verdict? So my verdict is that the S25 Ultra is the no-brainer winner here, guys. Like, if you're looking to buy a new phone, you should just get this one. I mean, because if you're thinking about this or the S24 Ultra, it just doesn't make any sense to go with the S24 Ultra when there's so many better, nicer things about the S25 Ultra. The only thing I would say that's positive about the S24 Ultra is if you can find a good used one or just a heck of a deal on a new one. But with all the trade-in specials that they have on the S25 Ultras, or any of the S25s for that matter, it's just a no-brainer. Like, you can literally, like I just saw on T-Mobile, I could trade in my old Google Pixel 6 and get $1,000 towards a trade-in on this, and then I only owe $300. That's insane. Like, that's a hell of a deal. That's, of course, if you have a phone that you can get, but I would still recommend going buying like an old S10 and trading it in. I mean, even if you paid like $100 for that, which you can definitely find it for that cheap online somewhere, maybe 150 at the max. That's still a crazy deal where you can go buy that and then trade it in and you get $1,000 towards a trade-in value. So it's still worth it, in my opinion. Even if you don't have a trade-in right now, you can find one and make it make sense. So all around, S25 Ultra, the no-brainer. I think you should scoop that up if you're looking for the big boy phone like this. It just feels better in the hand, more narrow, rounded, more smoother corners, a better ultra wide, better performance, all the above. So definitely go and scoop this one up. And then once again, guys, big thank you and shout out to this video sponsor, Simply Carbon Fiber. So go and check them out. But hit that like button if you liked the video. If you loved it, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell for up-to-date content. So be safe. God bless. I'll see you on the next one.